Hello and welcome to this exclusive interview here on France 24. Our guest today is the President of Kenya, Uhuru Kenyatta. Mr. President, thank you very much for being on the show.
I'm happy to be with you.
Mr. President, you're in Paris as France and Europe commemorates the end of World War I 100 years ago. There's a forum on peace. In Kenya, there is the issue of peace and security. It's been mostly about terrorism in the past years.
Yes.
20 years ago, there was the attack on the U.S. Embassy in Nairobi. 5 years ago, the Westgate Mall. 3 years ago, Garissa University. Is Kenya immune from such large-scale attacks today?
I don't think any country in the world is immune from such attacks, as indeed a number of attacks here in Paris itself have proved. And this is why I strongly believe that this is a war that pretty much in the very same manner that the world came together 100 years ago to celebrate a victory against oppression by many countries. Today, 100 years later, we're faced with the same threat. And no single country alone can combat this threat unless we actually pull our resources and our efforts together to combat worldwide jihadism, which has now proved to be a threat to many societies across the globe.
We haven't seen in a while such large-scale attacks. We see more kind of cross-border attack from Al-Shabaab, from Somalia. Do you think that you've really made progress in terms of getting a better sense of where the threat comes from?
I believe so, and I believe that that is also attributed to the combined efforts, both in terms of combating the enemy on the ground in Somalia under the AMISOM umbrella that puts together African forces from different African countries, Kenya included, as well as the resources and the support that we have gotten from the EU in that particular effort. But more importantly, the increasing levels of intelligence sharing that, again, has helped us thwart many attacks.
Such large-scale attacks?
Absolutely, absolutely. So we cannot say that we are out of the woods. We cannot say that we have defeated the threat. But I can say, and I believe, that we are better able.
You have the upper hand, is that
to now detect and be able to prevent attacks. But at the end of the day, as we all know, we may prevent thousands of attacks, but all the enemy requires is just one successful attempt. So we must always and ever be, on the alert and continue this solid collaboration that we have with countries, including France, in our efforts to drive out this menace and this evil.
You've mentioned Kenya's military presence in Somalia since 2011.
I wouldn't put it as Kenya's military presence. I would put it as AMISOM's military presence.
But Kenya's participation.
Yes, which Kenya participates.
Right. Yeah. But the plan is basically that Somalia's forces would take over in 2021. You've recently said, however, that Kenya's military will stay as long as needed.
Absolutely.
So this could be after 2021 if you deem it necessary.
If it is deemed that our presence is going to continue to be required, we are willing to continue to participate with other African troops under AMISOM and with the support of the international community to ensure that the enemy is defeated. But of course, as you have correctly stated, our hopes, all of us combined, is that we will also be able to support the legitimately elected Somali government create its own ability and its own military that is able to tackle this problem within the Somali borders. That is the ultimate objective, I believe, of all countries that are involved in this particular effort.
But let me ask you differently. Do you think 2021 is realistic? From what you're saying, my sense is that you think it might be too early.
Well, let me put it this way. We have definitely seen a lot of improvement, especially we have seen the Somali government over the years. We have seen them being able to hold elections and transitions in a very smooth and effective manner. We have seen also, with the support again of the international community, a slowly and a gradual build-up of internal capacity within Somalia. But I cannot say for sure that by 2021 they will have developed their own internal capacity to handle this menace.
Right. I want to get to more domestic issues. You've put out a so-called Big Four agenda: manufacturing, universal health care, affordable housing, food security. One might actually add something and call it maybe a Big Five: the fight against corruption. Clearly, if you just read the papers in Kenya, there are scandals all the time about the team that went to the Olympic Games in Rio, Kenya Pipeline Company, the National Youth Service. It seems there is an epidemic in Kenya. Do you really think you can get rid of it?
Absolutely. And for me, the clearest indication of that is the manner in which we are working in Kenya itself. We have put a lot of effort, again with the support of many friendly countries, to strengthen our investigative capacity, to strengthen our prosecutorial capacity. We have a huge number of cases. Each one of those,
but not many convictions.
Each one of those that you have mentioned are actually cases that have been investigated and we have prosecuted. And what we are now waiting and hoping is that the judicial process, because that is where we are now, that the judicial process will be able to come up and do their part.
We as a country, it's too slow. There's the feeling there.
You know, this is something that all of us are concerned about.
Right.
But we believe we have an independent, capable judiciary, and many Kenyans have placed their hopes that this judiciary will indeed do that which is necessary and turn these prosecutions into actual convictions and sentencing. Because at the end of the day, success can not only be measured just from the point of view of investigation and prosecution. Success is actually determined by the number of cases that we are able to conclude with clear convictions and sentencing and return of stolen assets to the people of Kenya. And this is the current stage that we are at, and a number of cases, especially the one that's currently ongoing right now, is the NYS case, which is now currently
exactly. It's the second case, I should add.
It's the first case under this new revived.
Will be more successful than the first one.
We are really very, very hopeful. We believe we have a very solid case. We believe that we have done all the necessary investigations. And like I say, not I, not you, but the entire Kenyan population, and indeed the world, is also now looking at our judiciary to see what they will do. I cannot predict that because we have no role.
But you're confident they will come through?
I am confident that they will come through on behalf of the people of Kenya.
Very quickly, China has been a big issue. There's been criticism that Kenya is over-borrowing. You went there recently, and you asked China to open up its markets to African products, starting with Kenya, as, I would say, a balancing act in a way. Is this what you want from China? I say, we're borrowing money, we don't want to depend too much, please do something.
We are borrowing money from all our friends across the world to meet our social economic agenda. We have a huge infrastructure deficit in Kenya. We also clearly understand that unless we can close this deficit, it will be difficult to expand our GDP, to be able to deliver services to our people. We need power, we need roads, we need water, we need all this basic infrastructure in order to create a thriving economy and to meet the social requirements and needs of our people. China, just like France and many other countries, have come up and stepped up to the plate. We are also interested in seeing how we can expand the potential of us being able to export that which we produce And I believe that as a result of that, that leads to a much more equitable trade. And everybody believes now that there can be a win-win scenario where we have not only Kenya being an importer of Chinese goods and services, but also an exporter of Kenyan goods and services into an expanding Chinese market.
Very last issue I want to touch upon, the issue of the presidential terms. It's been an issue not only in Kenya, not so much in Kenya, maybe than in other countries, presidents trying to change the constitution, having a third mandate or fourth mandate. You've said that no matter what, you will not run for a third mandate.
I am not seeking a third mandate. And like I said, our constitution is quite clear.
And last question. Obviously, the last elections have been controversial, sometimes violent. Will it be key for your legacy in 2022 that this time around the election will be peaceful?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I'm very excited, by the way, in the manner in which we are coming together as leaders and as a people to deal with those issues. And I am very hopeful that come 2022, we should, with the kind of effort that we're putting behind this, be able to enter into an election cycle that is not, that will not be violent, let me put it that way.
President Uhuru Kenyatta, thank you very much for coming on the France 24 set. Thank you for watching this edition of this exclusive interview, and stay tuned for more news.
Versailles, the Louvre, Mont Saint-Michel are well-known stars of French heritage. But French genius and France harbors many other hidden treasures. The arts, gastronomy, architecture, as well as nature's wonders. Come along with France 24. Discover France's living heritage. From young apprentices to accomplished craftsmen and farmers, to Michelin star sporting chefs. Meet these people whose passion for their professions preserve and drive French heritage.
You are here on France 24 and France24.com.